Hi, this is Brandon Younts from the implementation team, and today I'm going to be talking about security within SalesPad. So in order to access our security editor, you'll want to open up the admin menu within SalesPad. So this is in the upper left corner. And then once I click on the admin menu, there's an option for security editor. So you'll notice that when I put my mouse cursor over security editor, it tells you exactly what that's used for. So our security editor is where you would go to create new users, create new security groups, and then maintain the security around those groups. So within our security editor, we have three different sections. We have our left side, which is the user side. So this is where you'd actually go to create new users within SalesPad. The second section, or the middle section here, would be our group section. And so this is where you would create a brand new security group. And then the right side is in the third section here is the security. So this is where you actually check or uncheck or maintain security for the groups here in the middle. So if I want to create a brand new user within SalesPad, it's as easy as clicking the new user button here in the upper left. And when I click on new user, you'll notice it pops up this new user screen. And so in the user ID field, I can just type in what I want for my user ID. Typically, we'll see something like first name, last initial, first initial, last name. And hit OK there. And when I create my user called Brandon Y here, you'll see that it defaults to the admin group. And the reason it does that is because that's the security group that I have selected here in the middle section. Okay. And so when my user is created, you'll notice that we do have some user properties down below. The first checkbox here is the reset password on next login. So if I check that, the next time that I log in as this Brandon Y user, it'll ask me to reset my password. We have the name field, and so this is what you can actually put as the person's name or the user's name. Password is password is not a required field, so you don't actually have to put anything in here if you don't want. But if you do want to put a password in for this user, I can just click this ellipsis right here. And then in the new password field, just type what I want my password to be. And hit OK there. You'll notice that it puts quite a few asterisks under the password because we encode that password on the back end. So that's why you notice that. User email. If the company or if the customer is going to plan on emailing out of SalesPad, you'll want to make sure that this user email field is filled out. The next couple fields are based on settings that we have in SalesPad. So the sales rep, I don't have any sales reps set up in my company yet, but if I choose a sales rep, what that would do is every time I create a brand new sales document, if I have a sales rep chosen here and my setting turned on, it'll choose that sales rep to be the default sales rep for that sales document. Same with default warehouse. We have a setting you can turn on that if the default warehouse is chosen here, every time I create a brand new sales document under this user, it'll choose this warehouse as the default warehouse for that document. Security group, just what group is that user going to be assigned to. And then start date. Start date is really just for reference if you just want to choose the date that specific user started. Okay, and so now I have all my fields filled out for my user properties. And now I want to talk about security groups. So if I want to create a brand new security group, it's just as easy as clicking the new group button. And then when I click that, you'll notice it pops up the new group screen. And this allows me to type in my security group. So maybe I want to do a group for a warehouse. Type in warehouse there and hit OK. So you'll notice that when I create my brand new security group for the warehouse, If I look under all the security settings, that nothing is checked, so everything is turned off. And so we do this so that group can essentially start with a blank slate. If you want to enable a piece of security for that group, it's just as easy as clicking on the checkbox next to that piece of security. You will also notice when you click on a piece of security that down below here in this section, it'll tell you exactly what that's used for. Now, some of the security settings, if I actually click on one, you'll notice that they have an asterisk next to them. And so what that means is there are sub-settings that are associated with that security. So clicking the checks would enable the ability for this group to add customer default items, but then you would also have to look at the sub-settings and see, do I want, this group to have access to do this specific tasks within the sub-settings. You also have the ability to copy security from another group. So maybe my warehouse group, I want to base it off of my purchasing group. If I want to do that, I have the warehouse group highlighted. I can come to the top and click the copy from button. And when I click this drop down under copy from, you can actually choose what group you want to copy that security from. So I'm going to choose purchasing. And when I hit OK, you'll notice now I am going to have some options checked or available here. Now going back to the sub-settings, for example, I click on activity locks here, and you'll notice there are sub-settings. If we want to change one of them to false, it's as easy as clicking on it and then clicking the drop-down and choosing false. Or if you need to make a change to the sub-setting as well, anywhere in the white space, really, you can just double-click, and that'll change it between true and false, as you can see here. Now for the warehouse group, we can see that that users can only delete their own locks. I set that to true. If I want to make that adjustment for specific security groups or all security groups, you can right-click anywhere in the blank space here, and you have a couple options available to you. So I can choose copy to, and if I click on copy to, this will allow me to choose what security groups I want to copy that security to. So if I want to copy it to the CSR and manager group, you can just check those checkboxes next to that and hit OK. Or if I right click in here, you can do copy to all as well. And so copy to all would take that piece that you just changed and copy it to all security groups. Now keep in mind within SalesPad, if you are making any adjustments for users or for groups within Security Editor, the users will need to log out and log back in order to see those changes to their security. A few other pieces of information I always like to talk about. These users that you create in SalesPad have no tie to a GP user at all. So our security is completely separate from GP's security. We also do have a few other options as well. There is a search function at the top here. And so this would actually allow me to search all my security settings and all the sub settings around those as well. So the example I always like to show in here is if I type in cost, maybe I don't want the warehouse group seeing cost anywhere. I can type in cost there and hit enter or click the search button here. And now this is going to show me every single security setting or sub setting that contains the word cost. And you see when I click through there, you'll see all of the sub settings contain cost. And so this would allow you to go through and disable cost for all those groups. There's a couple other options. All documentation will take you out to our website and show you our documentation that we have. Search selected for documentation, and so if I click on that, it would pull up the security around what I have selected within here. You have the select all and select none. Select all would enable every single security piece of security. Select none would disable. We have an export and import security, and so you can actually export these security groups based on what you have chosen here. You can export this security group to like your, a Windows folder, mainly just for backing up security. And if you want to copy from like, one database to the other, maybe a test to a live database. A new option that we have in here as well, just to the right of the Save button on our Actions plugin here, we have an option called Print User Security. And so if I click on that, there are a few options that we have on here. The first one is System Security Report. So we've had some clients in the past mention that they were getting audited and they needed to provide a list of what rights or what access a specific security group has. And so that's what the System Security Report would do, is you could choose that certain group and hit OK, and it'll show or print a PDF of all the security that that specific group has. The other nice feature that we have in here is this User Group Difference Report. So what the User Group Difference Report can be used for is really to compare two specific security groups and see the difference between those two. So I can just click that radio button and then just choose the two groups. And so when I choose the two security groups, I can hit OK and it'll just show me the difference between those two security groups. Lastly, when I'm opening tabs within SalesPad, or it could be on the customer card or it can be the tabs up here as well. If you right click on any of those tabs, you'll see that there is a security option available all the way at the bottom. And when I click on that, you'll see that it'll open up the security editor and actually take you to that exact security setting where you can make adjustments or see any security that's associated with that. Outside of that, that's pretty much it on our security editor. Thank you for watching.